This conference will now be recorded.
Master's degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering from NIT Patna. Presently, he is an assistant professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering.
This conference will now be recorded.
Including Delhi Technological University, Delhi for around 15 years in different capacities like lab instructor, lecturer, assistant professor, and associate professor. In addition to these regular experiences, Dr. Khan has also worked as visiting researcher at Queen's University, Canada, and Royal Military College of Canada, as well as visiting assistant professor at Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, AIT Bangkok, Thailand. His activity research interest includes printed microwave circuits, electromagnetic bandgap structures, ultra-wideband technology and applications, dielectric resonator based components, ambient microwave energy harvesting and wireless power transfer, and artificial intelligence paradigms in electromagnetics. Dr. Khan has successfully guided 3 PhDs, these in the area of antenna engineering and allied domain, and presently he supervising 6 PhD students at NIT Silchar and published over 75 research articles in well-indexed journals of repute as well as in world-renowned flagship conference proceedings. He has successfully completed one major project and 2 minor projects funded by SERD, MHRD, and AICTE respectively, and presently executing 2 international collaborative Spark and Vajra research projects with Queen's University, Canada, and California State University, Northridge, USA. He has been awarded a prestigious National IETE Professor SVC Aya Memorial Award for the year 2020, and he is a Fellow of IE India and Fellow of IETE India, Senior Member of IEEE USA, and Senior Member of URSI Belgium, and also a Member of Editorial Board of Willis International Journal of RF and Microwave Computer Aided Engineering. Dr. Khan has successfully edited 2 research books, the first titled Elements of Radio Frequency Energy Harvesting and Wireless Power Transfer Systems, and another titled Band Notch Characteristics in Ultra-Wideband Antennas, published by CRC Tyler and Francis USA. And presently, he is also serving as interim chair of IEEE Silchar subsection of the year 2021, as well as faculty advisor of IEEE MTTS student branch chapter at NIT Silchar. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Hand over to Purnima ma'am.
Thank you, Manogna. Now, sir, please share your
Can I proceed
what
now?
you said.
Shall I start now? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall I start my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me share the screen. Is the screen visible to all?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. First of all, my heartfelt thank to the organizer, especially Professor Purnima Sharma, for giving me an opportunity for delivering a talk on fundamentals of electromagnetic waves. Now, the topic which I am going to start, fundamental of electromagnetic waves. It is a huge topic, not possible to cover the entire electromagnetic waves theory within a limited duration of 60 minutes or 90 minutes. Anyway, I'll try my level best to give you the glimpse of maximum possible things related to electromagnetic waves. Coming to the main content of the talk, let me give you the glimpse of my institutions, which is situated in northeastern part of the country, in Assam, where Silchar town in Lower Assam, Silchar town is there, where we are having 600 plus beautiful green campus. And middle one shows a photograph of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Learning Resource Center, which is the largest one in entire Northeast region. Then the next one, bottom left side, is the my department, Electronics and Communication Engineering, which is also there, Computer Science and Engineering department. Now, this is the strength of our department, that we are having all the variant of faculty members. Professor HAG, sorry for that one. The second one, Professor Srimanta Besha, is also Professor HAG. It is not highlighting there. Then Associate Professor Cadre, then Assistant Professor, grade 1, 2, and the last one is trainee teachers. The department was established in 1983 with an intake of 220 only. One second. Okay. Yeah, now it is fine. And then in 2000, it was increased to 150 in 2004. A PhD programs in different areas of electronics and communication engineering was started. Then in 2007, first MTech program in microelectronics and VLSI design was started, and then later on in 2013, another MTech program in communication and signal processing engineering has been started. In addition to that, we are also in a process to start another MTech program in RF domain, which might be in next academic year or next to next. Now, coming to the main part that I am going to discuss here, that is the fundamentals of electromagnetic waves. For that one, intentionally, I am going to start by giving you the glimpse of several real-life examples associated with electromagnetic waves. Here you can see easily that your present-day mobile phone, everyone is having a mobile phone in his pocket, and then ultimately it is connected to a BTS tower nearby to tower basically. That is an example of electromagnetic waves or microwaves. Then finally, in our homes we are having a microwave ovens. That is also an example of same electromagnetic field or electromagnetic engineering. Third, next one is the food processing unit basically. Let me take the pointer. This one is a food processing industry, basically, which is fully equipped with the microwave oven, microwave food processing unit. Then Earth to satellite communication, that is also possible through that microwaves or electromagnetic waves. And the present day we are trying to grasp the new technology, that is smart vehicles or smart system, smart vehicles, which is fully equipped with the different class of sensors to keep our vehicle safe in 360 degree. Okay, the next one is shown in police radar systems. Nowadays, ultimately, in some developed countries, this type of things can be seen easily. But like in several countries, there is no concept of having the policeman standing on the red light. It is fully equipped and fully automatic. Then all the traffic will be managed automatically with the help of different class of sensors. And like if some vehicle cross a limit, then its speed may be detected with the automatic sensor, or it may be detected by the handheld radar gun basically, which is having this policeman in his hand. With the help of this small radar unit or police radar systems, that we can easily detect what's the speed of that vehicle is there, which is just crossed from this direction. These are some examples of associated to electromagnetic waves or microwave basically. Now coming to another category of example, that is radar based specifically for different applications. Different classes of radars have already been developed which are feasible to mount on the earth surface as well as on the sea surface, depending upon the application for what purpose that particular radar has been designed. Now coming to that satellite, ultimately another applications of microwave is the satellite link with the help, like several applications or several entertainment or other services are being managed with the help of satellite communication, which is also an example of that one, uh, microwaves or electromagnetic waves. For that one, we send the information from earth station to satellites, and according to the process part, then ultimately that information will be reflected back to earth station, or it will go back to another node in the satellite or space, depending upon the requirement. Then some medical applications are also there, which are also based on that one. This and like some example, heart related disease and tumor, like chemotherapy kind of things, and finally that MRI kind of things are feasible with the help of microwave or electromagnetic waves. Now coming specifically to the electrostatics, because the before electromagnetics we need to describe the things in terms of electrostatics, then magnetostatics, then we will enter into the electromagnetics, and finally polarization of electromagnetic waves and propagation of electromagnetic waves. These are the things that I'll give you the glimpse of all these things in this presentation, like several examples that I have shown here, which are directly related to the electrostatic concept, that is spray painting, duster, then air cleaner, powder painting. All these examples are basically belonging to the electrostatics. Now another example, that is we are having the laser printer in our office or in our home. That is also an example of electrostatics. Then the last one is the basically one kind of magic kind of thing, especially used in some fair or some melas kind of gathering. Then ultimately here a girl's hair stands on, and as she touches the Van de Graaff generator, which is also an example of electrostatic. Now coming to the several examples of daily life examples related to magnetostatics. The magnetic recording media, which is nowadays completely obsolete, but ultimately it was based on the magnetostatics, like floppy disk and hard disk record data, or thin magnetic like tape recorder kind of things. Then ultimately nowadays the several other smart kind of gadgets have replaced this our old version of floppy disk. Like now we are using the pen drive or some other memory card or some other kind of things. But ultimately if you see inside that one, then it is more or less. Now coming to that one, second one, credit card, debit card, ATM card, all are having the magnetic strips on one side, and ultimately that coded information is traced by that machines basically, and according to the transactions will take place. Then another example is the TV and computer monitor. Older version of that one, present day like LED or LCD is having different kind of working principle that will not come under the category of magnetostatics. Then the last one is microphones as well as speakers nowadays, because ultimately I am speaking, you're listening, you will speak at the time of question answer, and I will listen. These are associated with the directly linked with the speaker and microphone. Those both the things are directly related to the concept of magnetostatics. Now coming to that a brief history of electromagnetics, that initially, because I have skipped the part prior to 1820 original one, that because it was going to make the things lengthy. That's why I have picked up the main things that in 1820 Oersted firstly demonstrated the interconnection between the electricity and magnetism. Then in the same year 1820 Ampere's identified currents as a source of all magnetism. Then 1831 Faraday discovered that the time varying magnetic field can produce the electricity. Then in 1865 Maxwell's formulated theory to explain the fundamental nature of electromagnetism, because prior to 1865 the concept, the theory related to electrostatics and magnetostatics were in isolated form. Okay, then he is the like Maxwell has tried to correlate these two things and like I identified the concept of electromagnetic wave first in 1865. Then later in 1887, Hertz demonstrated the existence of electromagnetic radiations or electromagnetic theory given by Maxwell. Then later on, in the same period of time when Hertz was doing the experiment, in India also one genius scientist named as J.C. Bose, Jagdish Chandra Bose, who also demonstrated the things in Calcutta, and then ultimately in the same period of time, 1895, which is basically in that 18th century, in 19th century, basically, that one what theory he has given in 1895, that is the future of present day wireless communication, which is the millimeter waves. Okay, then last one is the Marconi, who is experimentally successfully performed the experiment of information transmission from two ends. One is the Cornwall in England to the Newfoundland in Canada. He has successfully transmitted the information between these two nodes or these two banks of that sea. Then this is the journey of associated to that electromagnetic waves. Now coming to the things that electrostatics and magnetostatics. In the left hand side, ultimately the basic things is related to the positive and negative charge. Okay, in that one that we are seeing some electrostatic electric field lines are coming, which is positive from positive and coming terminating at the negative charge basically. That is ultimately then positive lines can also move from that this one, and it may terminate at the infinite sides, and ultimately infinite lines may terminate on the negative sides, negative charge also. Then in the magnetostatics, then you will see then ultimately all the lines are closely, or that is the north to south pole always. Okay, there is no existence of a magnetic monopole, but my electric monopole is possible. Now you see on the left hand side graph that how the concept of electromagnetic waves is coming. In this one, you can visualize that one field which is marked as a red color in this first graph, first diagram, that is basically the magnetic field variations along the z directions, and the electric field variations on the y direction is there. And the resultant, what is happening when you are varying, you are applying to time harmonics fields on the x, on the y and z axis, then the different kind of behavior we are observing on the x axis. That is basically what is moving from that z coordinate 0 toward this direction. That is basically the propagation of electromagnetic waves, or the direction of traveling of electromagnetic waves basically. And what is happening according to the time in these two y-axis as well as z-axis, that is basically comes under the category of the polarization. It means the behavior of the fields with respect to time that we generally define in terms of polarization, and how the waves, how the signals, or how the waves is moving from one end to another end in the space. Then ultimately it is defined in terms of propagation of electromagnetic waves, in terms of propagation of electromagnetic waves. That is ultimately in the theory of electromagnetic waves, several terms will encounter. One is the electrostatic or static electric field, magnetostatic, then time harmonic field word will come, then the polarization and propagation of EM waves. Now
Sir, you are muted. Sir. Again.
Hello?
Now it is okay, sir.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Thank you. Yeah, the electric field due to 2-point charges that is given in this diagram, basically that is ultimately that is defined in terms of Coulomb's law, that the 2-point charges, what type of fields will be there, that is defined in terms of Coulomb's law, that force may be either attractive force or repulsive force. Then ultimately, if the nature of these 2-point charges is same, then ultimately it will be the repulsive, and if the nature of these two charges in opposite, then it will be the attractive force. Then if these two charges are stationary, then there is a concept of electric force only. If these two charges are moving in nature, then ultimately along with that electric force, there will be another force known as the magnetic force. The magnetic force between the individual charges is very, very small as compared to the electric charge. That's why it is not feasible to that's why it is not feasible to measure experimentally. Then what we do generally, we consider the organized motion of the elements in a conductor. Then ultimately we need to we need to place the two conductors and observe the amount of magnetic field between the two conductors, but it is not possible to measure the magnetic field between the 2-point charges moving with a certain velocity. Then this magnetic force ultimately when it comes to that one to the certain organized motion, ultimately it is very, very high as compared to the electric force. That's why we generally see that the strong magnets can lift several of tons of weight, but the electric force cannot have a fraction of that strength. That is the things that ultimately magnetic force becomes more stronger as compared to the electric force when we observe the things in terms of that one conductor form. Now the types of magnetic force, like the same thing what I have told you, that it is also what we have observed here in terms of electric force. And same thing we can observe that if the north-south poles are there, one is north, another one is south, then ultimately the force of attraction will be the force between the two will be attractive. If the same pole are there, then the force will be repulsive. And if it is the orientation of this one is like this one is horizontally, another one is right vertically, then the ultimately a rotation will take place between the two magnets. Then ultimately coming to that one, the concept of basically static magnetic fields was given initially in 1820 by Oersted. Now coming to the Coulomb's law, the ultimately go back to the brief. Then what was happening during like in 1600 BC, Greeks were responsible for the term Greeks were responsible for the term of electricity, but ultimately, what they used this concept that by rubbing the piece of umbers on their sleeves, and they observed that it starts to attract the pieces of fluff and stuff. But these things they have taken only as a things of entertainment, nothing more than that. That's why they could not get the credit of that one. But initially, it was that concept was offered by Greeks.
AML 25 members ఉన్నారు సార్. అవును
Someone is muted.
అయితే అందరూ మేనేజ్మెంట్
Please,
అనుకుంటా వాళ్ళని AML.
please mute yourself. Some background sound is coming. Mute yourself.
మరి వచ్చేసారు అందరినీ అట్లా
Am I audible?
వాళ్ళ పర్సంటేజ్ ని బట్టి మొన్న పెట్టింది కదా group లో.
Sir,
Hello?
you're audible, sir.
Percentage
Am I
పెట్టింది సార్. ఆ?
okay? Someone is unmuted himself or herself.
ఏమంటారు సార్?
Uh, Again,
వీళ్ళందరూ
which along with some stones are also having the same characteristic, but ultimately in the same period of time, then Coulomb's came into the picture. He did the experiments, several series of experiments to identify the thing, identify and correlating the things with the about the behavior of that force, that what will be the amount of force exerted between the 2 point charges when they are like charges, when they are alike charges. Now coming to that one, suppose these are the two arbitrary point charges q1 and q2. Here I have not given any polarity of that one, that's why these two are arbitrary, which are replaced by a distance of r. Now ultimately what Coulomb's law says that the force between the two charges is directly proportional to the product of amount of charges, that is F directly proportional to q1 q2. Then ultimately in second case, like the amount of force between the two charges is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two charges, F directly proportional to 1 by r square. If we combine these two, then it becomes q1 q2 upon r square. Replacing this proportionality constant with k, then finally we'll get F equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon into q1 q2 upon r square. These ultimately, now this concept if you place in the vector coordinate, vector position word, then ultimately, because position is also equally important for us, then if we represent these two charges in terms of some position vector, basically that from origin at r1 vectors, that 1 point charge q1 is placed, and r2 vectors another point charge q2 is placed, then the distance between the two charges r1 r2, that is nothing but vector r2 minus vector r1. Then ultimately there will be the possibility of forces between the two charges, that it may be repulsive opposite side outward, and it may be attractive in the inward side. Then F12 is nothing but that with the same equations we can derive this F12 equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon into q1 q2 upon r square into ar2. Then finally replacing then ar12 in terms of unit, in terms of vectors r2 and r1, then finally it can be represented as q1 q2 upon 4 pi epsilon into r vector r2 minus vector r1 upon mod of r2 minus mod of vector r2 minus vector r1 is cube. This things basically is given in terms of two charges, but practically we need to have several number of charges, maybe hundred thousands or several thousand millions of charges points on a surface, on a line surface, or on a line charge form, or surface charge or volume charge form. That's why any arbitrary points charges q1 q2 q3 up to qn located at a vector positions r1 r2 r3 up to rn, then the same equations can be represented in this form, that F equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon into is a sigma k equal to 1 to n, where k is basically the total number of charges, then qk r minus rk upon r minus rk mod cube. Then like here F upon q, basically F upon q will be what, that is force per unit charge. That force per unit charge is also known as the electric field or electric field strength, basically. Then electric field strength can be represented as equal to limit q tends to 0 F upon q, where q ultimately the behavior of that one we are assuming it is very small, that what amount of force per unit charge will be there, that is represented in terms of electric field. Then F you have already derived in previous slide. Then finally if you put that way, then electric field will be equal to this one. Then AR can be represented as R minus R dash, then upon R minus R dash cube. Then for n number of point charges, same formulation of electric field intensity can be written in this form. Now the previously discussed things are related to a point charge, but ultimately there is no practical applications of that point charge. Sometimes we need to take a line charge, sometimes surface charge, sometimes volume charge. That's why we need to explore the things in terms of surface charge distribution, that is rho L, line charge distribution rho L, and surface charge distribution rho S, and volume charge distribution rho V. Q is charge, point charge, then dq in case of line charge, it will be equal to rho l into dou l. And in case of surface charge, it will be rho s into ds, and in case of volume charge, it will be rho v into dv. Then finally, with this one, by taking integral of both the sides of these equations, this, then finally we can get these three different formulation of electric for that one electric charge. Okay, then electric field intensity equal to this one, then put this q in this equation, then finally we'll get electric field intensity due to line charge equal to, and due to surface charge, and due to volume charge. Now coming to that one, that is electric flux density, the concept of electric flux density or electric flux. After driving the theory of that one electric field intensity, then in 1837, because 1820 is around that theory was there, earlier what I have discussed, then 1837, then Michael Faraday came into picture. Then he had done an experiment having that two concentric metallic arrangement, that inner one is a sphere basically, and outer one is this one hemisphere shape, and these two outer hemisphere can be clumped with help of clamping tool, something like that. Okay, then what he has done, he has charged this inner sphere with some positive charge, and he has filled up some dielectric material between this free space, between this vacant space, like
Taimur, sir. Sir, you are not audible. Taimur, sir.
then ultimately what will happen? Then it becomes a concept of that one point charge, that the flux density due to a point charge is nothing but that is q upon 4 pi r square into ar. Now like electric field intensity for point charge, line charge, surface charge, and electric flux density for point charge, line charge, surface charge. Because this thing, these four cases of electric field intensity that we have already discussed in previous slides, that for point charge, this is the electric field intensity, for line charge, this is the electric field intensity, and for surface charge, it is the electric field intensity, and finally for the volume charge, it is the electric field intensity. Then for electric flux He was the only son of uneducated parent who was very religious as well as conservative. He himself taught arithmetic and reading by the age of 3. Before his 25th birthday, he has become the global popularity in the mathematics and astronomy. Okay, while looking his interest or his passion towards the mathematics and astronomy, Duke has given him the stipend to pursue the higher education. Then ultimately, later on in 1833, he has constructed the first telegraph and published 150 works in almost every area of mathematics. Several of those works are very much popular in our electrical engineering. Now, these are not published work, is similar like a published research article. These are some patent kind of things. Now, these are some remarkable discoveries of Gauss, that method of least square, Gaussian distribution, Gaussian quadrant, divergence theorem, Gauss law for electrostatic, Gauss law for magnetostatic, Gauss-Markov theorem, Gauss-Jordan elimination, etc. These are some remarkable discoveries of Gauss. Now, coming to that, because as far as the topic is concerned, we need to discuss only the Gauss law of electrostatics and Gauss law for magnetostatic. That is this one, Gauss law for electrostatic. This law, Gauss law, states that the total electric flux passing out through where d psi equal to closed surface integral of d dot ds equal to volume integral of rho v dv. That is after applying the divergence theorem, then ultimately we can see that the closed surface integral of d dot ds equal to volume integral of divergence of d. Then in differential form, del dot d equal to rho v. That is the Gauss law for electrostatics in integral form as well as in differential form, that the divergence of electric flux density is nothing but that is the volume charge enclosed by that surface. Now coming to that one, magnetostatic, that is the Gauss law for magnetostatic. In case of electrostatics, we have seen that the charge starts from, like a closed surface is always there from positive to negative. Okay, it may start from positive and terminate to infinite point, and it may start from infinite and may come to the negative in the, that ultimately it is a closed surface. Then but ultimately in case of that's why in case of electrostatics we use the term of isotropic isolated electric charge, but there is no concept of isolated magnetic charge or isolated magnetic pole. That is no concept of isolated magnetic pole, in the sense if this is a magnet, if you break this magnet into thousands of or hundreds of thousands of pieces, then again it will have a north and south pole. Like this magnet is divided into two parts, and again both the parts are having north and south pole, and again it is divided into two parts. Then if you do the same process up to infinite, then each infinitesimal magnet will have the north and south pole. That's why the charge like magnetic flux enclosed by that surface will be equal to 0. That is B dot ds equal to 0. Now ultimately B dot ds is equal to 0. If we solve this one with the help of divergence theorem, then it may be equal to this one, that is B dot ds integral B dot ds equal to into volume integral of del dot d dv, or that will be equal to 0, because psi equal to 0 in this magnetostatic. That's why in integral form, this is the integral form and this is the differential form of magnetostatic. It is similar to that one. Difference is only that in case of electrostatic, del dot d was equal to rho v, but here del dot p equal to 0. Now coming to that next remarkable work of Michael Faraday, that was English chemist and physicist. Then some background of that one, and finally poor background family, deeply religious, received a little more than elementary educations only. Then finally electric arc, Faraday's cage, electric motor, dynamo, unit of capacitance is also given in the name of Michael Faraday, that is Farad. Then what was the reference before Faraday? It was only the Oersted experiment, okay, which was tried before around 11 years before the Faradays. Then Oersted, or we can say that in 1831, about 11 years after Oersted discovery, Michael Faraday in London and Henry in New York discovered that the time varying magnetic field would produce an electric current. According to Faraday's experiment, ultimately static magnetic field produces no current flow, but a time varying field produces an induced voltage. And if it is a closed circuit, then a current will start flow in the circuit. Now coming to that detailed one, like if you see this one, Faraday's law of induction, what is happening is you just observe the reading in the galvanometer, that when the magnet is moving it towards the coil, then ultimately the needle is moving in one direction, and when it is magnet is coming out from that coil or hollow pipe, then ultimately the galvanometer reading is moving in the opposite direction. That is the, but if it is stationary, this magnet is stationary, then ultimately then it will also be at the zero level. That I'll show you. Then again another way of in terms of flux lines, basically, that when the magnet is moving towards that coil, then ultimately what is happening, then from the north pole some magnetic flux lines is leaving from that one, it is entering into that coil, and it is inducing some current in that circuit because it is in a closed cell, and then some reflection in terms of galvanometer is observed here. Now there are the three possibility. If the magnet is moving in, then the galvanometer reading is towards the right. Okay, if it is stationary, there is no moment, then the galvanometer reading will be in the like neutral point or to the center point. Then if it is in the, if it is moving away from that coil, then the galvanometer reading is coming from the from in the left side deflection will be taken place. Now ultimately coming to the mathematical expressions of Faraday's law, that is the induced EMF is nothing but it is a rate of change of magnetic flux linkage by the circuit, that is EMF equal to del dot that induced voltage always in the opposite direction, always opposed to the magnetic flux induced in that one. Now this EMF equal to minus d psi upon dt equal to, because psi that is nothing but that is closed surface of E dot dl, that is line integral of E dot dl. If we take this one, then finally psi equal to is this that we have already discussed in previous case. If you put this value, then finally you will get EMF equal to this one minus closed surface integral of d rate of change of magnetic flux density. Then ultimately applying Stokes theorem here, then we will get EMF equal to minus this one, that is surface integral of curl of E equal to ds equal to minus surface integral of this one. Then ds may be cancelled out, then curl of there is an integral form. Then for making a differential form, then we can replace this ds part, we can eliminate the ds part, that is curl of E equal to minus del B upon del T, that is electric flux, that is curl of electric field intensity is nothing but the negative rate of change of magnetic flux density, that is the Faraday's law. Now coming to that next
Hello, is anyone getting any audio or a video movement?
No, ma'am, nothing. It's idle.
Video is coming, ma'am. I think
Is hanged at the same place. That is what I meant.
Yes, ma'am. Only screen was visible, madam. Audio, there is no audio, ma'am.
represents the direction of current, then ultimately this moment of that screwdriver with the force exerted by the screwdriver, then ultimately this direction will be the direction of magnetic field in that way. Now considering three different kinds of current distribution, one is line current distribution, surface current, and volume current distribution. In that way, the while staying at home, or himself. Discovered Orsted discovery of link.
Taimu sir. Taimu sir. You're not audible, sir. I think some issue with your audio microphone. Taimu sir. Sir, am I audible to you? Sir, am I audible?
This I is to be replaced with this one, and this left hand side is to be replaced
Sorry
with
to
this one.
interrupt you, sir. Taimur sir.
Yeah, yeah, please.
Actually, your voice is breaking in between.
Voice is
I think
breaking.
some issue with, yes, sir, some issue with your microphone.
Now, is it okay?
Now it is okay, sir. In between, it is,
Okay, but
you're losing your audio signal. Screen is
but
visible.
okay, I don't know what is happening, but same.
Yes.
There is no interruption in the internet connectivity also. I don't. Anyway, you can
No, no, sir.
interrupt me with some problems you face. Okay,
Okay,
now
sir.
if you put these two
Thank you.
values into this equation, then finally we'll get j dot like surface integral of j dot ds equal to surface integral of curl of h into ds. J equal to, simply if we, this is the integral form, and if we replace ds part of this one, then j equal to curl of h. This is the differential form of Ampere's law. Now, because ultimately I need to correlate the things in terms of topic, that is electromagnetic fundamentals of electromagnetic waves. Now, what was the problems with this Ampere's law, which was observed by Maxwell's and rectified that one? Ampere's law in previous slides, that this is this one. Okay, what we have derived in this one, then we are taking that one as a reference. Curl of h equal to j, taking divergence of both the sides, then divergence of curl of h equal to divergence of j, because divergence of curl of a vector quantity can be represented in terms of this one, because it is a standard vector identity of any vector A. That is divergence of curl of A equal to 0. It means divergence of curl of H equal to 0. It means del dot J equal to 0. It means for all the cases del dot J equal to 0. Okay, but if we correlate this one with the continuity equations, then ultimately which says that del dot J equal to rate of change of volume charge density, and it will be 0 only when if there is no rate of change. It means del over del t into rho v equal to 0, then only del j equal to 0. Otherwise, it will be non-zero. But in all the cases, we are observing in case of Ampere's law that del j equal to 0. It means here something is like missing what was observed by the Maxwell, that in Ampere's theory something is missing, because either continuity theorem is wrong or the mathematics given by the Maxwell is mathematics given by the Ampere's was wrong. It means he has tried to correlate the things what was missing in that way, and finally he has come to a conclusion that the total current density what is here, it is having two parts. J is a current density. This is having two parts. One is the conduction current density and another one is the displacement current density. It means J can be replaced by JD plus JC. Now ultimately this J is replaced by JC plus JD or JD plus JC. Now again applying the divergence theorem, okay, divergence on both the sides, then del dot curl of H equal to del dot JC plus JD equal to this one, del dot JD equal to minus del dot JC. It means now ultimately JC equal to curl of JC equal to rho del V upon del T, that is equal to this one. It means simply it is getting that JC equal to JD equal to del D over del T. Okay, it means which was missing here. JC is the conduction current density that is given as sigma into rho, sigma into E is the electric field intensity, and the part of JD was missing in case of Ampere's theory, which was that missing part was identified by the Maxwell, and he has given this missing part as the displacement current. Okay, now the Ampere's theory or Ampere's equations has modified as curl of H equal to JC plus del D over del T. That is in differential form, and it is an integral form. That is the final ultimately after this, after incorporating the concept of this divergence displacement current, this modified equation is known as the Maxwell Ampere's law. Now coming to that one, that some example of that one, that I'll be skipping this one because of constraint of time. Now coming to that one, like generalized form of Maxwell equation, that is all these four equations, that is Gauss law for electrostatics del dot D equal to rho V, Gauss law for magnetostatic, that is del B equal to 0, then Faraday's law curl of E equal to minus del B over del T, curl of H equal to J plus del D over del T. These are the four differential form, these are the integral form. Now we need to take the concept of time harmonics. What actually will happen if we apply the concept of time harmonics, because till now these are for electrostatics. Okay, now ultimately what will happen, because if we see these equations again, then ultimately there are the two variable, like intentionally one variable m is added in the equation related to Faraday's law, that is m. That is basically just to create the mathematically balanced conditions in these four equations, that m is basically the magnetic current source or magnetic current density, J is the electric current density. Okay, now ultimately if we see these equations either in the differential form or in integral form, then there are the two sources. One is the electric current source J, and another one is the magnetic current source, and two kinds of observations are there. Either you can take in the form of electric field intensity or in that form of electric flux density, because D equal to epsilon E, then this part D can be replaced by E also, E upon epsilon, that is del dot E equal to rho V into epsilon. Okay, then ultimately rho V upon epsilon. Then ultimately two fields, electric field and magnetic fields are there, and two sources are there. Okay, now ultimately we need to apply the concept of this one as a time harmonics, means with respect to time what will happen to these Maxwell theory. For that one, like here arbitrary D is a function of x, y, z and t. D is a function of x, y, z and t, where x, y, z basically represents the space coordinate that you may take as a rho theta phi or r phi z, that is up to you. but ultimately the easiest way for considering the coordinate system is the rectangular one. That's why this arbitrary D and B or D and E we have considered in the form of rectangular coordinate system x, y, z, comma t, because ultimately these x, y, z are the distances basically, and t is the time. There is no correlation between these two. That's why this ultimately these two things are statistically independent. That's why we can take this one as a product of these two, that is dxyz into ft. Then E can be replaced by exyz into ft, ft, and ft. Now ultimately in all these cases, ultimately ft functions is nothing but that is a time harmonic source, and which is a simple harmonic motion. Then simple harmonic equations is given by this one, that d square upon dt square into ft plus omega square ft equal to 0. And the solution for this equations is nothing but that is cos omega t or sin omega t or e to the power plus minus j omega t. Now it is up to us in what conditions we will opt the solution of cos omega t and sin omega t or e to the power j omega t. For that one, coming to that further extension of this one, this equation basically ft equal to cos omega t or sin omega t. Look here, ultimately here an arbitrary phasor is there, a, which is having which is moving with the velocity of v in this way. Okay, then ultimately OA and OB components are there. Omega t is an angular position at a particular point, this one OC basically. Okay, at omega t equal to 0, if omega t equal to 0, then this OA will be here. OA is nothing but that is A, or then OB equal to 0. OB, this part is 0. Okay, then ultimately only this OA part will be non-zero one. Then omega t is 90 degree, then ultimately this OA part is 0 and OB part will be non-zero. By taking these three different ones, like it is placed here as well as here on y-axis, then finally OA is nothing but that is A sin omega t, and OB is nothing but OA means this what is happening on y-axis and what is happening on x-axis. That is a one sine function, another one is cosine function. That is OA equal to A sin omega t and OB equal to A cos omega t. It means this phasor form of these things can be represented as OA plus JOB, that is A cos omega t plus J A sin omega t equal to A cos omega t plus J sin omega t equal to A e to the power j omega t. Thus, it is clear that OA is moving along the x-axis. Okay, this one is x-axis and this one is y-axis here as per this notation, and OB moving along the y-axis. Okay, now ultimately what is happening, A was an arbitrary vector. If we include the concept of time harmonics, what we need to do, we need to multiply that arbitrary vector with the e to the power j omega t. But then ultimately this thing we need to apply on the all four Maxwell equations. The first Maxwell equation was del dot D equal to rho v. Then applying this concept, it means multiplying this entire equation with the e to the power j omega t. Then del dot D minus rho v e to the power j omega t equal to 0, or simply, and finally if you're doing do some mathematical rearrangement of this one, then finally you will get del dot D equal to rho v. Then equation 2 will also be same, that is del dot B equal to 0, del dot H equal to 0. But equation 3, because it is having del cross equal to minus del over del t into B minus M. If we put B equal to, if we multiply this one equation, this equation with the e to the power j omega t, then ultimately what will happen? What will happen? Then finally you will get e to curl of equal to minus j omega mu h minus M. Again, equation 4 will be in this form, curl of h equal to sigma plus j omega epsilon e plus ji, where ji is the intrinsic current density. Now in the like in generalized form to time harmonics cases, that del dot D equal to 0, these are the like standard differential form, integral form. Then finally in case of time harmonics, that del over del t part is replaced by minus j omega, because b equal to mu h is there. Okay, then then del d over del t is replaced by this one. Okay, this is the time equation, Maxwell equations in the time harmonics case. The Maxwell equations, again same thing, we can skip this one. Then statics case, Maxwell equation in static is which was the original one before applying the concept of time harmonics. This was the status, and Maxwell equations for free space mean J equal to 0, rho v equal to 0. Then these equations can be modified in this form. Okay, then now coming to that one, propagating media for electromagnetic waves. Now coming to that things, because after applying the like time harmonics case, which is what actually is doing. And if I go back to this particular slide, this one, a e to the power j omega t, ultimately if you observe in this direction, that is z direction means this point outward, then ultimately what you are observing, when omega t is varying from 0 to 2 pi, then ultimately a rotation of this a you are observing here. This blue line is rotating from this point to this one to this like this. That rotation basically you are observing in the z direction, that is perpendicular to both the directions. And but you are observing in the two perpendicular axes, that is at the time harmonics condition, that is OA is nothing but that is the sine function, and OB is nothing but that is a cos function. And how sine and cosine functions are different only at the starting point. One starts from 0, another starts from peak value. This is the things that ultimately these things can be further extended in terms of polarization, because the same things will be derived in the same things will be extended when we define the terms polarization of electromagnetic waves. I think that will not be possible because of time constraint. And this one now coming to that one, free space, then lossless dielectric and lossy dielectric and perfect conductor. If we see these four different cases of propagating media, okay, then third one is the most generalized case. Remaining three can be derived easily with the help of third. Okay, now the Maxwell equations for that one, ultimately what will happen, we have taken the differential form of Maxwell equation, then especially taking the curl of equation 3, that is curl of equal to minus j omega mu curl of h, that is this one. And finally this thing, because ultimately some standard vector identity we need to apply to solve this one, that will come as minus del square e, or simply because del dot e equal to 0 here. If you without vector identity, you can directly solve this one. Del dot d equal to 0 put here, then this part will be equal to 0 minus curl of equal to minus j omega mu sigma plus j omega epsilon into e, curl of e equal to omega gamma square into e, or simply you can rearrange this one, where gamma is nothing but square root of j omega mu into sigma plus j omega epsilon. Then this is for electric field. If it apply the same conditions for another equation, that is fourth equation, then finally we'll get this equation in the form of magnetic field intensity. These two wave equations are utilized for driving the concept of attenuation constant and phase constants of the media. That is gamma square, this one, this was the gamma square, this is further extended here, gamma square equal to sigma plus j omega mu epsilon, j omega mu sigma plus j omega epsilon, but gamma equal to alpha plus j beta, that is also there. Then by equating these two things, finally we can find out the value of alpha by doing some mathematical computations. Finally we can find out alpha equal to omega square root of mu epsilon upon 2 square root of 1 plus sigma upon epsilon omega square minus 1, and similarly beta, that is ultimately alpha and beta both are directly proportional to frequency. If we see outside square root terms only, and ultimately now another term, that is the velocity, we can define v equal to phase velocity omega upon beta equal to this one. Then the wavelength 2 pi upon beta can also be written in this way. Then finally coming to that one, because it is a lossy conditions we have assumed as a case 3. Okay, then ultimately that losses part in terms of JC and JDS can be represented in this triangular form, that is JS equal to sigma, the JS equal to sigma ES and JDS equal to J omega epsilon. Then ultimately one angle will form what is known as the loss tangent, basically tan del equal to If it is very small, then ultimately media is said to be good, lossless, or perfect dielectric if 10 del is very small. 10 del means this angle, that is not theta, this remaining way, that is 90 minus theta basically. 10 del is small or is good if 10 del is very large. Keeping that one, like that remaining three parts can be derived in terms of that generalized form alpha. If you put the conditions of free space in that alpha alpha equations and beta equations, v equations, and del, then finally you can find out these terms as a alpha equal to 0 for free space. There is no attenuation of power in free space, and beta is directly proportional to omega, that is linearly dependent on frequency v, velocity, phase velocity equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second wave velocity. Then lambda is nothing but 1 over f square root of mu naught epsilon naught. 1 over square root mu naught epsilon naught is also known as, that is the c into this one, v upon f basically. And eta is the intrinsic impedance. If we calculate for free space, it will come around 125 or 377 ohm. Now same type of computation we can apply for that lossless dielectric, that is case B, sigma equal to 0, epsilon equal to this one, mu equal to this one, then this thing will come. Now coming to that perfect conducting media basically, then ultimately this alpha equal to beta equal to this one, then it is dependent on frequency. Alpha equal to dependent on frequency, beta is also dependent on frequency, but not linearly dependent. V equal to omega upon beta, that is square root of 2 omega upon mu epsilon, and eta equal to mu upon square root mu upon epsilon, that will be coming mu upon epsilon sigma into 45 degree. Now because another important thing related to this last one, that is perfect conducting media, is the skin effect and skin depth. It is very important terms when we are talking about the conductor at high frequencies, because it is a tendency of current flowing on the outer surface of a conductor that things basically is formulated in terms of skin effect or skin depth of that one, that the current density is found to be the greatest at the conductor surface with a reduced magnitude deeper in the conductor. At the center point of the conductor, that current amount of that current will be equal to 0, but on the outer surface it will be the greatest or highest value. The decline ultimately from out highest to the 0, ultimately the curve between the curve as varying from the depth of that one is exponentially. Then ultimately at a certain level we need to take a trade-off that up to that reduction